right, hello. So I thought I'd take an evening stream today. I typically don't stream in the evening, especially not a Sunday evening, because it can be quite intense with the kids. Funny enough, that I'm more relaxed and energized in the weekdays. But it's been a good day, and I had some reflections, and I didn't want to start my day tomorrow doing that because I have some other stuff I need to do. But I thought I would talk about something because I did a pivot again. Like I'm trying to figure out like a good experience. Oh shit, didn't it fail? Oh, then we need to fix that. What happened here? Request timeout. Oh, I think I can just refresh it. I think I fixed that. Yeah, sometimes it times out. Anyways, yeah, so I did a pivot again because I'm trying to figure out this experience I want. And the thing I actually did was to remove the inline agent, which might sound a bit crazy that I did that. Let's see. So basically, we have this like inline agent where you can just type something, and then it makes a change using haiku and some trickery to make it even faster within like a couple of seconds, which is really nice. But doing these kinds of inline changes, it's very, very hard to control expectations, and because it's like you just write something, and then depending on what the agent needs to do, you'll have like a great experience where it's like less than 2 seconds, or it might go and do a lot of other things, and it's like it's just really, really tricky. And if you're very vague, it can't do any edit because it needs clarification. Like it's a very unstable experience. So I actually chose to remove that actual experience, but I'm still using like the engine of inline editing using the agent. But before showing you the current version of this stuff, let's see if I can open. Oh, do I have errors? Show errors. Oh, what happened here? This was working on my other computer. What the fudge? Let me just close up. Let's try again. There we go. Yeah, that was weird. So we're gonna do like a test project. We're gonna run this from the start after I'm done here. Okay, but what I want to talk about first is what we call plan mode. And this is really how any like agentic experience starts. Like you can always like prompt Claude to do like a simple change, but very typically you land in plan mode. And plan mode is this step where you kind of get this like huge as a markdown file, which typically shows like inline in your terminal. But the plan isn't for you. It's for the agent, right? So it needs to be very, very verbose. And this is how I feel generally what happens when you use agents is that you end up sitting there just reading a shit ton of text. And one thing is like reading a novel. That's fine. But when you want to work with code, you don't want to just sit there reading things. So I guess we can verbose plan for the agent. So you kind of start with this step, and then the next step is agent implements across files. Across files, and then agent debugs and iterates. It's really cool actually to see how Claude kind of goes in and says, oh, wait, by the way, I don't think this is the best approach. And it kind of goes at it again. And then at the end, you have human review. So, I should probably turn down my audio. So I don't like this developer experience. It's fun to prompt the agent and figure out what you want to do and how to do it. But the artifact of that process is this like big ass markdown file, which I like. Maybe I'm, well, I am different from other people. Not every person is the same, but just reading like a simple plan in the CLI, I skim through it. I don't read everything. And it's just a bad experience reading these plans for me. And then at this point, I'm kind of just giving up all control to the agent, and it can do a lot of changes without me even knowing which files it jumps into, what specific code changes it makes, or anything in this process. And then it goes in and it debugs and it iterates and tries to figure it out on its own. So I don't know what mistakes it actually made. Why didn't that other thing work? Why does it work now? None of that is like brought to my attention. And all I'm kind of left with is just this huge ass diff. I hate diffs. Like looking at diffs static code on GitHub is a shitty developer experience. It's just really, really bad. And the thing that we don't talk about is how important it is to know and understand the code base to actually do a review. So the more time, the more the code base evolves through agents, the less you are capable of reviewing the PRs because you don't know the code base anymore. And I find this fascinating. I find this super fascinating. Anyways, so the thing I'm kind of doubling down on now is what I call breakdown. So you could call it like tasks, assignments, or whatever, but to me, like it's the breakdown is created by the agent, and you don't want to use a term there where the agent is controlling you. The agent is assisting you. Like that's really, really important. So the way this works is that you don't get a verbose plan. You actually get, you basically get a step-by-step breakdown for you. And you or agent implement per file. This is really important. So there is no like process of running through the breakdown step by step automatically. You have to go click through every step, and each step represents a file. Like multiple steps can be the same file, but it's always a file that you're working on. And then you can choose based on the guide if you want to do the work or you want to let like my fast inline haiku agent do the change to the file, which now makes that process completely deterministic because you have a file, you have a description of what you want to change, it will always make that change. Always within that file, it won't suddenly go off and do other things. So now it's more based on the size of the file, how fast it's going to be. Yes. And then you can choose to like let the agent do the first part, and then you can look at it, and then you can evaluate if you want to do something more to it. But it's step by step, file by file. And what happens here is that as you're doing this, you're actually navigating the code base. You know what files are being touched. You know what changes in those files. So you're kind of reviewing as you're doing it. Even if you click through and just let the agent do every change in the file, you still visit every file. You see every change. and you always have an opportunity to intercept and make other changes. And then you debug and iterate with the agent. So you are still the one doing the testing. Like, this is a big challenge with agents, is to give them agent tools where they can validate their implementation. Like, it depends on what you're working on. Maybe something can be validated simply by unit testing, which is the dream if you're working with an agent. But a lot of stuff needs to be manually tested. And you can try to set up tools for the agent to go into the browser and sign in and click things. But at the end of the day, it will never, like, especially if you're testing a user experience, it's never gonna be able to do that because it's not human. It's not a human user that is testing the experience, so it can't like sign off on it. Yeah, it's really interesting. But of course, a lot of stuff can be validated by an agent, and there's only a question of time. But there's also a huge cost. Like, one thing is running a unit test. Another thing is opening a browser, clicking around. Like, it's a huge cost to it. Like, just tokens. And then at the end, there's an agent review. So the agent reviews what you did. And it tells you if you actually followed all the steps are taken care of, if it has any suggestions to improve it, and that can lead to like a new breakdown, and you can like iterate that way instead. So what I like about this is that it's not bound to this extension. I thought I would kind of try to implement this inside PyDev. I'm calling it PyDev for some reason, the Pi harness, because there you can actually implement a UI for it. So I want to try that if this experience works. But yeah, so this is kind of my mental model of this. So let's see here. I probably won't stream for too long, but we're gonna at least run through it here, and if we meet any issues we can fix them. But let's imagine, like, this is, again, I'm doing like basic stuff to show it, but I'm gonna spend the week using this at work, where there are like multiple code bases, different languages, complex stuff, bigger refactors, stuff like that, really testing the approach. But let's imagine I want a Vite project with TypeScript, TypeScript, React, and Tailwind CSS. In the evening, I don't feel so pumped, so I have my movie, what do you call it? Movie soundtrack playlist. It's so sad that one of my favorite composers is James Horner. He did like Titanic and Braveheart and Avatar, The Perfect Storm, A Beautiful Mind. He even did a Spider-Man movie, Apollo 13. Like, he has a lot of amazing scores. But he died in a plane crash. So sad. Okay, so it tells me that I can just set it up like this, but I'm gonna force it to do create a breakdown for this just to show you. Like, this isn't like super complex, so it's with everything. It's kind of like Cloud Code. Sometimes it creates tasks, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the complexity. But I'm just gonna force it to create a breakdown now, so we can kind of go through it. And I worked really hard on the actual experience of this. So what happens when we get a breakdown is that we get the breakdown at the top. So you still have your conversation, but then you have the list of things to do. So our first task is to create the scaffolding. So this is of course just a command, so I can run it. And then we can run npm install after that. Let's see. And there's no like, I'm gonna check off anything. It doesn't work like that. Because that's like, that feels so forced. This is more a guide to help you do this the way you want to do it. And as I said, every single step is bound to a specific file. So here you can see it's package.json. So if I close this and I click it, you see that it opens the file. So let's go in and install these packages. And we have Tailwind CSS in there, and then add Tailwind plugin. So now I can show you how I can go in and like add this myself if I want to do that, or I can use the inline agent for this. And the really cool thing is that it works the same way. So when I choose the step, it pre-warms Haiku so that it's ready to roll if you choose to click this thing. So and it does the scanning thing. It shows you what it actually changed, as you can see here. And then I save it. So here it's basically replacing, so I can do that myself. And this is also a thing, like, I don't think this is also something that's not talked that much about. Like, we're spending an insane amount of money on tokens. And companies, they are letting their employees spend a shit ton of money on tokens to kind of figure out how to use AI and figure out where the actual value is. So another aspect of this is that, like, I didn't actually mention that. So this is like crazy expensive. Like, don't think about the money you pay every month, but the actual cost of the tokens. But since in this step, first of all, it's not building up as much context because the breakdowns are much simpler. And then when you make changes, you can make them yourself. That's like token saved right there. So there's like, I wish I would be able to kind of track the number of that would be interesting. I should do that. Like just use code CLI to basically set up a project like this and see how many tokens it costs. Test code CLI token usage versus CodeSpark. Sorry, I'm starting to get tired. Token yeah, whatever. Like, costs a ton of tokens, doesn't cost a ton of tokens. Let's see. Okay, so now you kind of got a feel for it. So if I go in here, we can say I rather want a simple counter example. Now I didn't start this from the file. I could have started I could have put the file as context if I wanted to, but it doesn't matter. It's such a simple app. Yeah, And then it basically says remove all template boilerplates, blah, 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 blah. And just helps you like do the thing. Or we can click the thingy and it starts scanning it, and then it should make the update. So we can save that. And then what you can do at the end, you can always go back to the conversation and continue talking. But what you can also do is when you're done, you can click this button down here. And I'm not sure about the buttons here, if it's obvious that the lightning is apply and all of this, but at least you can go in and it will review the changes. And and the nice thing about this is that when you do a human review of an agent, what an agent generated, there's no reward. You don't feel anything about doing that, right? Nothing. But when an agent reviews you, just this simple, this looks great, you nailed it, like it puts a smile on my face. Just call me ignorant, but this is true. Like I use agents for a lot of like, just the other day I was like really tired with the kids and everything, felt totally overwhelmed, and just had to like just raw thoughts. What the hell am I doing? Why did I do this? Is everybody else feeling that it's overwhelming? And you get that emotional support, and it's real. It feels genuine and it feels real. So yeah, I did nail it. So yeah, it's a very different experience. I do think yeah, I am curious, like also how much time it would take. Even if I just went through every file and just like applied it, that would build some context for me. Again, as I said, I would actually look at the code. I would actually look at the changes as I was going through it. But yeah, compared to me actually doing it, but maybe some things I would want to do myself, or at least if I use the agent, there's a chance that I would actually change what it did. And that is when you want to do it. It's not when you have 1,000 lines of diffs. That's not the time where you want to go in and evaluate the code. It's just completely overwhelming. Did it run green now? It did. Yeah, I fixed that. Well, Claude fixed that, I should say. Yeah, I think that's it. I have some, Thomas Newman. He's the other guy I really love. Like he has, all the Nemo, Wall-E kind of music. That's Thomas Newman. American Beauty. It's amazing. Anyways, yeah, I think that's what I wanted to get off my mind. So I'm gonna try this tomorrow or through the week, and I'm kind of curious because I have this like huge ass thing where I have a bunch of Python code and a bunch of TypeScript code, and I'm going to use those two sources to implement something in Python. And it's like a lot of sources, a lot of complexity. It might be like a lot of steps to get that in, probably. So I'm gonna be curious about how that's gonna feel like. Yeah. I don't think I have anything else, and it was working. Like I didn't notice anything. Yeah, no, I think we're good. Okay, you know, I'm just gonna stop the stream because I'm getting really tired. But it was super nice getting that off my chest, and then yeah, maybe we could do a stream and try to implement breakdown in Pi. It would basically be exactly the same thing, only that you would do this in the actual terminal UI, and you kind of say break this down, and then you would actually get these steps in the UI, and you would be able to like click one of them, and it will run, I guess, like some, not directly a sub agent, but it would run Haiku to apply those changes in a file. And then I guess you will kind of manually have to jump into VS Code, but it could give you a link to VS Code. So you could open the file. It wouldn't be as cool as this one with the scanning and highlighting and everything, but if you have Git, you would see those changes. Yeah, could be pretty cool. But I think we're not at the end of this. It isn't just planning, implementation, and review. There are versions of all of these that I think is worth exploring. Anyways, that's it for now. Thanks.